Hey, Mama. Welcome to the Mom Walk Collective podcast. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Ari, and we are just two mamas trying to navigate motherhood. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jamie, how's Lincoln's sleep going this week?
We wanted to start off on a little fun topic. We were actually talking about this before we press record, and we're like, pause. We're actually going to record this because it's so relatable to everyone. Lincoln is my 8-month-old little cutie munchkin boy, and we are navigating what sleep looks like at this age. So when he was born, he slept from 8 to 6 until he was about like 5 or 6 months old. It was like a dream when moms would be like,
Wow.
"Oh, how are you sleeping?" And I'd be like, "Amazing." And they'd be like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Well, he sleeps 8 to 6 every day." And they're like, "Did you sleep train?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like,
that mom.
Yeah, I was that mom. I was. But plot twist, went on vacation, and that's not the case anymore. So 2 nights ago, actually, we were supposed to record this the other day, but I was a zombie because Lincoln cried from 5:30 p.m. till 5 a.m., and we maybe got 30 minutes of sleep. So, boof.
A boof.
A boof. So we think possibly I took him to the doctor and be like, maybe it was an ear infection because he just screamed anytime I laid him horizontally. So we're like, interesting. Had a fever, the whole shebang. Looked fine. The doctor was like, I don't know. Maybe it's teething. Last night was back to normal. And I'm like, excuse me, mister. Why'd you throw a little plot twist in my life? So that's how Lincoln's doing.
And they can't communicate with you. That's like what's so difficult is like, if you could just tell me, we could like try to anticipate these things. We could help you.
I would just have like gone.
We're going blind.
Yeah. It was kind of like one of those, the mindset that I'm taking. And I don't know if did you ever do like those like school lock-ins where they like locked you in your school and you like pulled all-nighters for like 24 hours?
No, never.
Oh, okay. Maybe
that must be an Idaho thing.
I was going to say it must be a small town thing because literally they used to like do these like lock-ins and they literally would lock us in the high school all night and you'd like sleep in the gym and they had all these things going. Everyone went, but they were the dumbest things ever.
Oh.
No, yeah, but it was kind of like you just went.
I don't know if that would fly at my high school.
Honestly, probably some real sketchy stuff went down. But I don't know. Anyhow, if I could have mentally prepared and been like, Lincoln, lock in, let's do this, hype, expectation, it'd have been great. But we are all about going with the flow. So thank you for asking. Lincoln is now better. He's currently asleep. It's 8:30 p.m. and he is sleeping like a little dream baby. But I only have one baby. Oh, yeah. I know. I actually have Lincoln logs for him. Maybe I'll do his birthday that theme. Wouldn't that be cute? Yeah.
That would be cute.
Okay, but I only have one baby. You have 2 babies. And they are getting to the sleep regression phase, the teething phase. Are you experiencing any of that?
Yeah. So I was also that mom that was like, oh, my babies are like sleeping through the night. Like they slept like 11 and a half, 12 hours.
Isn't it funny? You look back and be like, oh.
Yeah, and I would keep my mouth shut because I was like, I know this isn't normal, and I don't want to like piss off like a sleep deprived mom right now. I would like to make friends, actually. So,
yes,
I mean, it didn't hurt you. You made a ton of friends, but that was going through my head. But yeah, we're fortunate. We have 2 babies. One baby sleeps through the night, totally content, sleeps in her crib. She's happy. That's a Harley girl. Graham, he is our FOMO baby. And if there is anything going on, he's going to know. And so we have yet to do naps in the crib because he likes to nap in the carrier, whether that's on me my husband, my mom, we all rotate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Feel
and
that.
then at night, we're doing better. Last night was a weird one. Decided to wake up at 10 p.m. and would not go back to sleep. So Ian slept on the recliner in I guess that's called a glider, in their nursery for an hour, maybe longer. But then he slept through the night. And then we are very, very fortunate when my mom spends the night. She didn't do it tonight, but most nights during the week she does. When they wake up at like 6 a.m. right now, it's like I just walk over with their bottles. We have a mini fridge in our bedroom. That way we don't have to go downstairs. And I just take their bottles, put them on the banister, grab the babies, drop them off to her room, which is our guest room / my office, but we call it her room. And I go back to sleep for a couple more hours.
Wait, that is amazing.
So tonight,
shout out Grandma.
She's not here. Oh yeah, Lola. Damn, she is fantastic. Everyone needs a Lola. That's what you call Filipino grandmas, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you spell it?
Exactly like you would. Lola. And then grandpas are Lolo. Lolo. So, yeah.
Cool. Everyone has always been grandma, grandpa for me. Like it's grandma and grandpa O'Neill, grandma and grandpa Smith. Like it's always been that way, even though my dad is Nicaraguan and Native American. And it's still
I did not know
we've
that.
always just done grandpa. Yeah.
Wow.
I look nothing like my dad.
I need to see a picture of him. Like, wow.
I know his skin tone is a little bit darker than yours.
Oh.
It's interesting. If you guys don't know, Ari's obviously Filipino. I am white as white can be, but I can tan. So there's that.
There's that.
I feel like we just sidetracked for so long.
It's all good. You know what?
We'll get back into the topic.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, today we did want to talk about... Hello. Follow along our little squirrel brain sometimes. But you know what? That's mom brain. So I would hope you guys are following along as well. But today we did want to jump into what life looked like after the hospital, because everybody's experience is a little bit different, but there's always little things that we can all relate on as moms. There's a lot that changes. So,
well, and even just talking about what it's like to bring home a baby, because so much conversation is like pregnancy, labor, then what? And the then what is like the
everything.
Okay. So the rest of my life, now what do I do? So
where
I don't know.
All the professionals.
Yeah, literally. Okay. I'm so curious. What was it like? You guys, so you had C-section, you're ready to leave the hospital. Did they prep you guys on, here's how to do your car seat, here's our things you could do? What was it like leaving the hospital, getting in the car, going home? What was that whole experience for you?
Yeah, they do not prep you with the car seat. Like, you're not even allowed to bring the car seats upstairs.
What?
Like, you have to keep them like downstairs. And this may be different because like we didn't have NICU babies. And so I think there is a car seat test that NICU babies have. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with us, there's no car seat test. They had to stay downstairs. And so
my jaw's on the ground.
Yeah. Luckily, we had a great nurse. But I got wheeled downstairs. Ian got the car. I had 2 babies. Like, I was a spectacle. I had 2 little nuggets, 5 pounds, 11 ounces, and 6 pounds, 8 ounces. Like, they were nuggets. And wheeled down. And then Ian pulled out the car seats. We had one of our friends that had been visiting us before we left. And she, helped us kind of like maneuver things around, because I wasn't really mobile a ton. Like, I could walk, but I was very slow. And thankfully, the nurse kind of like went in and like checked out our car seats to make sure. But we did prep prior to going to the hospital. Like, how does this car seat work?
Yeah.
Like, how tight does it need to be? Like, am I like completely squeezing them in, or am I leaving some room? And so we did some prep, but then having the nurse there gave us comfort. But what about you guys? Because you had the NICU
that's
test. Like there's the car
yeah,
seat test.
that's blowing my mind. I didn't even know that was a thing that they just like, oh, you and your baby get in the wheelchair. Well, first off, before I go into the NICU, leaving with a baby, did you take like the whole I'm leaving the hospital picture?
I was no. I mean, Ian took pictures of me like in my little wheelchair when I got
Yeah.
outside. We have that. I'll probably post that somewhere, so if somebody's listening, they can take a look at it. But I mean, what picture are you talking about?
Yeah, no, just exactly that. Like the monumental moment of like, here we go, here's motherhood. I feel like that's like just such a stereotypical picture. So I want to see yours because I want to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I'll
But
have to
I'm
look
like,
back.
I'm mind blown that they don't do a normal procedure. And maybe if you're listening to this, you're like, oh, my hospital did. Maybe it's a state thing or per hospital. Lincoln was a NICU baby. And so going home, actually, even before, so we knew the day before he was going to get discharged that he was going to get discharged if he passed one more test. Essentially, we were on this waiting period. He had to pass so many different tests in order for us to leave. We are looking on the path to leave. And so in order to leave, we had to watch about 2 hours of videos on child safety. So
Whoa.
we watched CPR videos. We watched different sanitary videos. We watched car seat videos, SIDS videos. Yeah, it was 2 hours long that we were required as NICU parents in order to discharge our son to watch these videos. Then we also had to bring up our car seat. They had to manually check our car seat. They also watched us put him in, and then they also assessed him within the car seat before we were even able to get discharged. So I am like mind blown.
I feel like, why isn't this just standard? This is insane. I'm like, what?
Yeah. So
what hospital did you deliver at?
I delivered at Mission in Mission Viejo in California.
Okay.
Which is under like the Providence umbrella. But technically, since he was in NICU, he was part of the CHOC Alliance. So CHOC is the Children's Hospital of Orange County. So I don't know if it's a CHOC thing or if it's a Mission Hospital thing. But yeah, that was like a big part of us leaving. And then they also, again, this is different because he was in the NICU, but they sent us home with like a huge bag full of supplies. So when leaving the NICU, they essentially clear the whole room of any product that was ever in there. So they gave us massive things of diapers, wipes, binkies, wraps like blankets, creams, anything you can think of, because being in the NICU, they then have to, we're in like an isolated room. They have to completely empty out the isolated room, and those products all just get thrown away. So they hooked us up big time, even then leaving the hospital, just on like basic necessities for Lincoln, which I like totally wrote off of for a while.
Like, I wonder if this is standard for NICU or if it's standard for Mission, because like people rave about the hospital that I delivered at, and I loved it. It was a great experience. But no, we did not leave with all that stuff. Like, well, let me clarify. We didn't leave with that stuff legally. We took blankets. Let's just get real, because those babies were so tiny. They didn't fit in the blankets that we had. And so the nurse was like, well, as long as, we don't see them leaving with that.
That's so funny.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's so crazy.
Oh, man.
Okay, so I'm curious now, when you guys got home, you're in the car, and did you have one of those like, oh my gosh, like a tight hands on the steering wheel? Like, did you sit in the back seat with them, or because of your C-section scar, did you sit in the front seat?
Yeah, because of my C-section scar and because of having two babies, I was not going to be able to like comfortably squeeze in back there with them. Now I go back there with them when they need me, but no, I had to sit in the front. So we were those parents that like didn't sit in the back with the babies because otherwise I would have had to drive. So yeah, we were like crying on the way home, and Ian was driving and he was like white knuckling like, oh my God, that car's going so fast. Like you just turned into like this like protective parent of like how, yes, I'm going home with them. How are they letting us leave? But also like, I'm so ready to get started.
Yeah.
But we would look at each other and start crying. So we just decided
Aw.
like, let's not look at each other. Yeah. What about
so
you?
Beautiful. That is so beautiful. Like, I just want to know of like the
Yeah.
excitement and just like you guys have gone through so much. And one day we'll have Ian on here for you guys all to hear their story. But they're an amazing, beautiful couple. They parent so well, especially with twins. So hearing that
Aw.
just is like total melts my heart because I could see it from obviously day one. That's how you guys were. So it's so beautiful. Yeah, for those who haven't or don't really know my experience, I am no longer with Lincoln's dad. 2 months before he was born, we actually separated. So going home was actually a really, really hard process for me. Being in the NICU obviously was really hard. We were there a week, which some people who may be listening are like, oh my gosh, we've been in it 3 months or 4 months or a lot harder, which I have so much honor and respect for you guys because the NICU is not an easy place and it's not a happy place. So getting released from the NICU is like super, super exciting. Because of the circumstances
And we don't want to leave you guys
COVID
hanging. We will. Oh, sorry, Jamie. I just want to just share with the listeners, we will talk about Jamie's NICU experience even more. We'll bring in another NICU mom too to fill in the conversation, but just didn't want to leave you guys hanging.
Yeah, we'll do a whole NICU thing. And we want to bring in a mom who can talk with it from like a longer experience too. And that has like a different diagnosis than Lincoln. Lincoln's fine now. His lung collapsed at birth. But because of my situation and COVID and everything, I wasn't ever allowed to leave the hospital. So from the moment I went in, I did not leave the hospital for a week. So I felt like I was in baby jail. That's what I called it because I wasn't even allowed, like I didn't even see sunshine or anything because if I left, I wouldn't be allowed back in because I'm not vaccinated. And I had to like go through that whole like, all right, it was just a whirlwind. So leaving, one, I was grieving the fact that I actually wasn't leaving with whom I was married to with our son. Mm-hmm. So I was grieving that fact that I actually wasn't going to my home. And that was really hard. And then on the flip side, it literally felt like I was released from like, I know this sounds dramatic, but like released from prison or like knowing you go on vacation. This is the best way to describe it, actually. Knowing you go on vacation and you get off the plane and you're either like hit with like humidity or you're like hit with a different atmosphere and you're like looking around and you're like, oh my gosh. Like that's exactly what it was like.
You're like the sunshine.
So my mom wheels me down. No, I'm not even kidding. These are the responses. Like, so my mom brings her car around. Charlie leaves. I put Lincoln in the car and we're driving and I'm sitting next to Lincoln and I'm looking out the window and I'm like, oh, I live in Orange County. I was like, look at the palm trees.
Let alone
beautiful.
You have like a child sitting right next to you. You're like your new baby and you're like, oh my God, outside? I've been locked in cabin fever. I call the hospital like our pod. Like it's like You're just like in a pod. But a week, that is insane.
Yes. So it was like one of those like, oh my gosh. And then I would like, he would make a noise and I'd be like, oh, and I have a child? What? And I literally just kept looking at him and being like, I made that. I made that. What, did that not just blow your mind? Were you like, both of these were just in me?
It's wild. Even today, you look at them and you're like, you were inside of me. Like, we're going back to Mexico where we took our baby moon in January. Like, I'm like, they were inside of me last year. So yeah, totally get it.
So crazy.
So you had a mixed bag of emotions. You were going instantly into co-parenting. Mm-hmm. You were experiencing the outside world.
Yeah, it was like new environment. But that was even interesting of, and I want to hear what your experience was like. Usually, so advice that my midwife told me was 5 days in bed, 5 days around bed. And so 5 days in bed, then 5 days around bed, and then 5 days around the house. Well, that was her advice. I did not follow that one little bit, not at all, especially co-parenting. My mom just has a rule that my ex-husband was not allowed inside her home. So in order for Charlie to see Lincoln, it was either in the front yard or in a public place. So from day one coming home, I was out and about. It was either on a walk or I would meet him at a coffee shop. We used to like meet at Barnes and Noble, like wherever was just a space for him to see his son. And so I instantly went to co-parenting, and he would come once a day usually. And so I would just plan on, you know, spending my whole day relaxing, resting, all of that, and then prepare for, you know, passing him off to see his father for that little bit until he got hungry again. So it was a really, really interesting experience instantly having going into co-parenting. And I would see people out and they would look at Lincoln and he's like tiny. And they'd be like, oh my gosh, how old? And I'd be like 10 days. And they're like, why are you outside? And I'd be like, long story. But yeah, so it was really interesting. Did you do, I mean, you're in like, every mom's in recovery after giving birth, but what is recovery like as a C-section? Because that I just don't even know. I know you guys have so many rules, not rules, but like recovery you have to go through because you were just sliced open.
Yeah, like 7 layers deep. But
for some reason in my mind, it almost sounded like 6 feet. Like I went like 6 feet below, and I was like, wow, that's so deep. Wow, yikes.
Oh yeah,
but 7 layers.
I wish somebody told me 5 days in bed, 5 days around bed. That did not happen. I mean, yes, I was in bed. I was in the hospital for, I think, 3 nights. So I was in bed. But once I got home, this is where that like type A side of me comes out, and I just try and like do too much way too fast. I broke my toe within an hour of being home.
Wait. Say that you broke your toe an hour after coming home from the hospital with twins.
Yep. So
wait, knowing you, was it something really funny? Like, how did it all go down?
I wish it was funny. No, I was just trying to like move as fast as I normally would. Like, woo, just like not got rid of, but you know, just birth 2 babies. I can like move. No, you can't. Like, you really should rest. And I slammed my toe into the Baby Bjorn bouncer, which this is a topic that I would love to share. You as a new mom think you're like designing your house the way like it's going to work once they're here. Those babies did not fit in the Baby Bjorn bouncers for like 2 months. So the fact that I had it out and that's what I broke my toe on is like, that's how little I knew. And that's how little I like was just aware of. Like, you make the nursery all pretty and whatever. You don't we didn't go in for the first 3 months of their life.
Yeah. Oh,
they slept in our room.
Wait, explain to them your changing table, because this I think is so brilliant, and how you guys rearranged your house, because you said you had it different before, and then explain what was different and then what you have set up now.
Yeah. So when we first like were preparing for them to be here, and once they were here, the changing table was in their nursery, just like everybody shows you on social media. Like, the changing room or changing thing goes into the nursery. That's just where it is. Well, I'm sorry, but our nursery's upstairs. I'm downstairs. My husband had to like put a limit on me for how much I could go up and down the stairs, because with the C-section, it's just added stress on your body. And so he only gave me like 2 times I was allowed to go up and down the stairs. So I had to be really strategic. My husband is a godsend. He really keeps me in check.
He is. He truly is.
Gosh, I don't know where I'd be without him. Love him. So we ended up setting a changing table up downstairs. And the changing table, well, it first started as like our little storage thing, but that thing was wobbly. One of those like little Target like square things. But they were so little that it worked. And then our entryway table turned into their changing table.
Guys,
so now
it
it's
is
like this like
brilliant.
it's like this beautiful like crate and barrel like desk that we used as an entryway table. Changing table now. But it's great.
Guys, it's so smart. It's this like massive, beautiful table. You walk into her house, though Ari is also like queen aesthetic. Like her house is like, she is Miss Neutral Queen to the max. So she has this beautiful neutral house and she has this full table. Like think of a small dining room table or your desk table. And it is set up as a changing table in the middle of her living room, but it just works. It's literally brilliant. It's right in like from her entryway in between that in the living room. And it's brilliant. So
it's great.
Like, I don't know, Ari, give them all the tips. So I have my changing table in my room, but Lincoln also has his crib and everything in his room. Our setup, I absolutely love. I have a changing table below. I have little baskets with all of his clothes, his crib. I have a very, very minimal setup because I don't have a nursery. It's me and him. Mm-hmm. We share a room. I had a little play mat for him out in the living room. And now like we've moved the coffee table and the whole living room essentially belongs to Lincoln now.
What you do for the babies.
Oh, literally. My mom today was like, Jamie, this is starting to look like a warehouse. We need to do something about it. And I was like, talk to Lincoln, take it up with the big man. But I have a really simple setup and I don't have a lot of products. So what would you say, like things you set up before, things that you actually use, what were super practical bringing home? Like now you have the twins home. What are you using every day? Obviously, we changed the changing table to somewhere, an area that's a lot more practical. But what else? Like, did you use bassinet? Did you use the Snuggle Me's or DockATot? Or like, what were the items that you're like, I use this every single day from the day I brought them home?
I know. There's two. Yeah. So we definitely got our like good use out of the DockATots. Those things were fantastic. Those were not items that were purchased on our registry. We had them on our registry. But Facebook Marketplace is a great place to get like bougie stuff on the discount.
Yes.
So we found matching DockATots. You should have just seen us. Like one day we were doing like basically a tour around Irvine, California, picking up matching DockATots from different households, matching Bjorn bouncers from different households because they were items that I wanted, but I didn't want to spend full price on them. There was many other things that we had to buy. But bassinets, we had one downstairs. So we had the Halo twin bassinet downstairs, which was fantastic because we could just set them down there. We even put their DockATots in there to make it like comfy when they were super small. And then we have the bassinets upstairs in our bedroom. So we registered at a store and she had one on display there. We have the Venice Child one. That one's fantastic. If you moms are looking for a bassinet that the babies are able to grow into, because it's huge. Like their DockATot fit in it.
I've never even heard that brand before. What is it called?
It's called Venice Child. Yeah, maybe I can put it in the show notes. But it's fantastic. Like it's not the snoo. I know that worked for you, and so we'll talk about that. But this one, it just has great features. It's also very aesthetic. But like you can rock it manually. It can unzip so it can like be on the edge of your bed where you just have access to them.
Nice.
It can like raise up or down. So like you can have them at an incline if they're having, like acid reflux or if they're congested at any point. It has storage at the bottom. So those are fantastic. We kept them in there until I think like 5 months, which is pretty unheard of for a bassinet.
Yeah.
So what other things? Diapers, ladies. like I said, you're not safe if you have a C-section. You're going to need diapers. I mean, you could use pads.
Okay, wait. This is a topic I'm so curious on. What is life like after you bring the babies home after having a C-section? Like, where are you at is more of the question.
Like physically, you're talking about.
Physically, mentally. Give me the rundown.
Yeah, I mean, physically, you just went through a major surgery. And, like, yeah, I had to wear diapers. Hey.
So explain to me that. I think that's the part that I don't really understand because, yes, I understand. Obviously, you still have the same wound that every woman has after carrying a baby. You have, if you have one baby, you have one massive wound. If you have two babies, you have two massive wounds on the inside of you. So are you still bleeding? Like, what is that whole process like?
Yeah, your body is still bleeding. So not only do you have your incision that you have to make sure is staying like dry and clean, you are also bleeding. And so I was wearing like sensitive skin Depends.
Wow.
That you don't wear till you're a grandparent usually. But yeah.
Did you like the diaper route?
I
versus
personally
wearing
did.
Pads or all that.
Yeah, because I mean the pads that you need at that point, like they're chunky.
And I found you go yours and then I'll tell you this hack that I actually found and loved and was obsessed with.
Oh, I'd love to hear. Yeah, the pads were chunky, so I just opted not to do that. I was a tampon girl prior, so
yeah.
But let's hear yours.
Well, I actually had a friend do this for me, and this was so, so helpful because I prepped with the diapers. So when I got my whole postpartum little bag ready, which I'm curious if you had a postpartum kit or not, I had friends that helped me prep a postpartum kit, and even one of my TikToks that I made was on making padsicles, and it had gone viral before Lincoln was born. And it was this whole thing about making padsicles. If you don't know what a padsicle is, it is you take a pad, you unfold it, you put witch hazel and aloe, and it helps with the healing if you have like a vaginal birth. So I had prepped all these things and this and that, and I had then also prepped essentially to put that on diapers. But my friend was like, no diapers, Frida Mom underwear. And let me tell you, I would buy it today. I would wear them today if that was normal. Frida Mom underwear was the best thing ever postpartum.
Are they like the underwear, that disposable underwear, or are they?
Yes. So they're disposable underwear, so soft, so comfortable. Like they're boy shorts. So you like also feel just very secure all the way around. They're also high waisted, which was a huge deal. Where like even my friends who had C-sections, it was able to completely cover the incision to keep it safe and protected. So I loved it. And then I was able, essentially, like I trimmed my pads and just changed them a lot more often just to stay comfortable. But that was a huge deal in my comfortability coming home from the hospital because, I mean, everyone knows after you have a baby, you just like, you feel like, whoa.
Yeah. You went from having like this beautiful belly that everybody celebrates to like, whoa, what just happened to me? And you have to have so much grace with yourself because you don't even, like, I didn't recognize myself, you know, like, I mean, it was, I think we could definitely do more preparing for that, just mental shift.
I agree. I think even pregnancy is more mental than it is physical. At least for me, it was. That's another topic. We'll do a whole conversation on all that. But okay, back to the diapers. You love diapers. How did you care for your incision? I know. Mental health. Oh, it's like sad. Okay, diapers.
So you love diapers, not for your kids, but for yourself.
For you. Yeah. We have teeny tiny for the twins, and then we have the adult size for us.
Oh my goodness. Oh, yeah, you never thought you'd match your baby as quickly as you do. So, twinning.
Twinning. Double twin for Ari.
Oh.
But yeah, your incision.
Yeah. So, my incision, basically what they did was they stitched everything on the inside, including like my lower abs, and then they glued the top. So what happened, because little miss wants to do everything under the sun, one of my stitches decided to like pop through. And so I ended up going to my doctor's office multiple times after I gave birth. Like normally you only go at like your 6-week check-in. I was in for like my IV, site got infected. My the stitch popped out. Then I thought it got infected, so I went a third time. Like, I mean, they were really happy to see me because they don't normally get to see the babies after like you're out of there. So I was friends with everybody at my doctor's office.
Hey, that is crazy. Go back to your stitch was popping through? What?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Well, it just meant that like I must have done something where I like bent over. That's what they thought I probably did. That then caused the stitch to pop through the glued through layer. So fortunately for me, when they looked at it, it looked healed enough where it was safe for them just to take out versus like having to restitch that section.
Could you imagine?
Oh God. Like, I don't even know what you would do. Do you have to go back? Like, I was never under, so I mean, what would they do? I don't know. I don't want to know. I mean, if you're a mom listening and that happened to you and you had to get restitched, please share with us.
Yeah. I bless you women. Seriously. So that's crazy. But how long did it take from like you coming home from the hospital till like your stitches dissolved, your incision was like actually like not quote unquote healed, because then you have to go through all the scar tissue and all of that, but to the point where you could shower, you could do all that, like you weren't worried of like, if I get something in it or something's going to irritate it? How many weeks was that?
Yeah, so I could shower almost immediately. I showered in the hospital, and then I showered when I got home, and then I was moving around like probably just too much. I went to Fashion Island for my birthday, which was 6 days after the babies were born. So it was like a couple days after I'd gotten home. So I don't know if I was limited in that capacity, but I also had to end up going on like painkillers because things just got like really painful. And I was trying to be very mindful about how much I was taking, and it was under the care of my doctor. I also ended up getting preeclampsia right after I going into my surgery. They were like, that's a high number. So they took a blood sample and it came back that I had preeclampsia that day. And so they were like, thank God we delivered you.
Literally.
Everything was so smooth during the pregnancy. And then it was all of a sudden like these things happened. And mind you, like they were not huge things. Like they were all fixable. We were able to like carry on a normal life. But yeah, it was definitely interesting.
Yeah, it's so like these are the things that like no one, I'm so glad we're having like conversation, because I didn't listen to anything about what it was like bringing home baby, because bringing them home is like so full of joy. You're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It was so worth it. Every part, pregnancy, labor, it was so, so worth it. But you're
recovering.
Yeah, you are recovering. And that's like even one of the biggest things. And like one of the things I really had to accept is like asking for help and having help. And I'm so thankful for my mom. She was like a massive help. I had a meal train too. So people, friends of mine, my church, people were dropping off meals every day, which was a massive help, because you just don't even think about like how you're going to feed yourself, because all you're thinking about is, okay, it's eat, sleep, wake, eat, sleep, wake. Like they're on a hungry schedule from day one.
Yeah.
And so it's just even thinking about those things. We're asking for help of like simple things of like prepping, changing like my diapers or the pads and stuff like that. Or even being able to like hold them for 1 second while you go and take a shower, and eating, making sure you're eating enough, making sure you're drinking enough. Like, hey, could you grab me the water bottle? Because if I get up, he's going to wake up. Or there's so much of
How
that.
was it for you asking for help? Because I think we're very similar in a lot of ways. So I'm curious to know, like, how did you ask for help and how was it received by those people?
So I don't think I really knew what to ask help in the beginning of like, because I think one of the big topics that people talk a lot about is visitors. And so like that topic is covered a ton of like, are you going to let visitors? Are you not going to let visitors? Are you going to let them hold them? Are you not going to let them hold them? But no one really talks about like what help looks like. And I had friends that would come and be like, oh, like I'll come over and I'll help out. And their help, in their mind, they thought they were being so sweet, which was, oh, I'll hold your baby so you can clean, you can shower, you can make meals, you can do all this. And I'm like, I don't want to give them up. What in your world makes me think like I'm just going to hand you my baby so I could go do the things I don't want to do, which are all the things I do want to do is just hold my baby. So asking for help, I think I realized I needed. My mom stepped up to the plate a lot. And so
shout out moms.
Seriously, like, shout out.
Yes. Shout out Grandma Perry. Shout out Lola.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't realize how, I don't know for you. I think we have talked about this actually. My relationship with my mom grew tremendously the day that I came home from the hospital with the babies.
Yeah, same. And I think I was able to honor and respect her differently because I started to understand what she had gone through. And I think that's a huge thing. We'll have to do a whole, maybe they would love, oh my gosh, imagine if we brought our moms onto this. They would freaking love it. Guys, our moms are like dying to be a part. Yeah, literally. It's the best. They're so supportive. It's
love
amazing.
Them. My mom listens to the podcast before it's published. She's like, I gotta know.
She's like, my mom works in a office at a hospital. And so she's always talking to them about things. And it's honestly hysterical. I love it. We love the grandmas. But I think asking for help on that topic, I felt safe asking. Close, her. Everyone else, I learned don't want your help, or how do I set a safe boundary, or how do I communicate to you? I don't know. What did you follow when you brought home the twins? Did you have visitors? What was that like? Also, you had just moved a few months prior. So I know that was a little bit different for you guys.
Yeah, we moved in October and then the babies were born in May. So luckily we had created some community down here, which was fantastic. And then my husband being from down here, we had created community just like visiting over the 11 years of us being together. So I thought about this a lot during my pregnancy, to the point where like I had a complete breakdown with my family of me trying to set expectations of what was going to happen. And they had so much grace with me. I feel like my tone did not come across very nice. My words were filled with hormones because everyone tells you to ask for help. So I was like, fantastic. I'm going to ask for help.
Were you like, get me this now?
I was like, so this is a real conversation. And I absolutely love my mom. She stepped up to the plate. But I straight up told her, I was like, when I deliver and I come home and you come stay with us, you are not a guest in our house. You are there to help take care of us. And this is because I love taking care of people. Like when they come over into our house, I love making sure like all the meals are planned for, like the room is just very nice for them to stay in. You have everything you need. And if I can, I'll even have gifts ready when they come. But I knew I was not going to be able to do that once I gave birth to 2 babies. I was like, my focus is going to be elsewhere. I was like, I'm going to need people to cook, clean, whatever. Like, so yeah, she came in and she just cooked and cleaned and took care of the babies, and it was incredible. I love my dad, but so they're divorced. So he came a week or 2 after she was here. We had to have a talking. He had a crazy week with work. And so he came in with a different mindset. He also didn't come down with my stepmom, who was also a godsend. He came down solo initially, and then she came later. But he had no idea how to help because he was just like so far removed from baby life. And yeah, and then he doesn't cook. And so we had to have a conversation of how he could help. And so his job was the cleaning. And damn, he did some deep cleaning.
Amen.
So thank you, Dad.
Seriously. No, it is really interesting. Like, these are the things that a lot of people on like things of needing help for. So if you're pregnant listening to this, or you sent this to a friend who's pregnant, one of the things that you can empower people, instead of telling people, you can empower people to do is recommend cooking, share with them your favorite meals. You can share, things that you would love to be cleaned, laundry, dishes, vacuuming, mopping, normal things to keep a household running. In a normal I say quote unquote normal, but if like husband and wife, or, the partner was together, that would actually give a ton of relief to the partner as well, where then they can focus on mom and caring for mom instead of having to not only care for the house and care for mom. I think that's something too that a lot of conversations don't happen around, is they're becoming a parent at the same time a mom is. Yeah. So that's like a huge, not only do we have like this crazy euphoric experience with birth and we become mothers, and that experience helps a mother actually step into those natural instincts. A partner, a father, just has to one day accept it. They get to watch it, and hopefully they have like a similar experience, but they're also stepping into a complete life change too. So what was Ian's kind of response to everything? What did he communicate to you? What was his role alongside you when you guys came home? Because that's a huge shift for him as well.
Well, I just want to say, you just said that beautifully, and I wish I had that much like grace when I was hormone inflamed, to share that with my family that way. And I do want to also call back when you shared about like when friends come over to visit and maybe they don't have kids, so they just don't have that experience. If you are a friend listening and your friends are pregnant and expecting, and yeah, when you come over, what's helpful is you actually like doing something or bringing a meal. Yes, we want you to hold our babies in some cases. Some cases, moms may not want to. But yeah, at the end of the day, like we just gave birth to them. Like we don't want to do the house stuff. Like we need help.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, coming back to Ian is just, he's seriously an angel. Like I've had multiple people tell me that, and I'm just like, yeah, I know. I'm the lucky one. At our wedding, I got roasted because Ian is definitely the sweet one in our relationship. But he like just did so much. Like he changed all the diapers in the hospital. I changed one because I wanted to, not because like I had to or anything. And he just, I love him so much. Sorry. But he prepared a ton. He read a ton of books prior, like not me shoving books down like his throat, just like him, like, yeah, like I want to start reading and preparing. And he always shared with me, like when we found out we were pregnant, he was like, wow, I'm going to be a dad. And then when he saw the babies at the ultrasound, like that was really cool. And as a twin mom, you get ultrasounds at all of your appointments, which is fantastic for him to like have that connection. And then when he could feel them, that was like a whole new experience. But then when they were here, he was like, wow, no longer am I going to be a dad. Like I am a dad now. Like they are here.
Wow.
And I just, he's just such an amazing dad. I can't wait to have him on the podcast because I want him to share really from his heart how he experienced everything. Because not only was he now in charge of taking care of me, but he was also in charge of taking care of the babies. And I mean, he stepped up. Like, I don't even want to say stepped up because he just filled the gaps where I couldn't at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you guys...
I know
No, it's beautiful. It's like one of those things where it's like, I think people think a lot about life and family and creating a family. And one of the like biggest phrases that I live by is like, what you can honor is what you can receive. And that's why I look at you and Ian so much and just honor you guys and honor Ian and honor the parents that you guys are, because I know I can receive that for myself. And my situation was my situation, but looking at that and hearing that, it's so, so beautiful. And knowing when someone can see a mother's heart, I think anyone, whether it is a grandparent, a partner, a friend, maybe someone that just came recently into your life, whatever it looks like, and they can actually see your mother's heart and they can meet it. It is one of the most beautiful things ever, because I fully believe that a mother's heart is unconditional love, servanthood, and sacrifice all laid down in one. And when you come home from birth, it is that manifests into a human, where now you're seeing all of that step by step, day by day, minute by minute, in real time of what a mother's heart looks like. So I think even watching partners be able to do that so beautifully is such an incredible thing. And I can vouch Ian is literally an angel. Like I've never, even when he says we'll be in business meetings, because if you guys didn't know, Ari and her husband are one of my business partners of when I brought on the collective. We have an additional one as well, but all of us sit in these business meetings. And even when Ian has like a spicy opinion, it's like with a smile. I'm like, he's like, I said it. What do you want me to do? I already said it. And so it's just really, really, really beautiful. And so and since I didn't have that experience, what is one thing that you can say that you can ask a partner that would really help coming home and being in the very thick and heavy of postpartum?
Yeah, I think one thing, if it's available to them, is for your partner to take their paternity leave and really maximize that. I know that is not it's not something society like really builds up. Like usually it's like 2 weeks and then they're back to work. And you just birthed a child, whether it's your first or your second or your third or even more. Like really take the time to then share those like moments together and share like you guys brought life into this world. And now your identity is shifting from like yourself or a partner, and now it's shifting into a parent. And I was very grateful that Ian he maximized his entire parental leave. And so in the state of California, you're able to take 12 weeks of FMLA.
Wow. We need to do a whole educational episode, because I mean, I am self-employed, so I didn't do any of that. But those are resources that are so important. So you're going to have to do a whole shebang on how to actually capitalize and resources for it and everything. So Ian took his full 12 weeks.
Ian took his full 12 weeks, and his work was like they're super generous. And so the 4th month, he had every Friday off.
Wow.
And so it really helped us like transition from like, okay, like now we're getting into rhythms and routines of having these babies. And then you go back to work, but we have that grace of having that 3rd weekend day to then like shift back. We're also very grateful that he also works from home. But yeah, I think let's normalize men taking paternity leave because
Yeah.
we are all parents now. Like it's not just
Yeah.
all on the mom. So that would be my biggest thing.
That's good. That's really good. I feel like this whole episode was very chaotic, and I feel like that almost describes what it's like coming home. Because even too, like, as much as like if we could give takeaways of what it's like coming home, I think one, there's crazy feelings of like excitement and joy, but like the unknown and the scary and the anxiety. And there's so much of like, wow, this is so awesome. And hoping everything that you prepped for, whether it's how you laid out your house or the different products that you bought, or, you know, you think they're going to be one way, but they're a different way. And there's so much of like, oh my gosh, now my hormones are crashing because they were just like accelerating for 9 months and now they're crashing, and you just don't really know. And then now you're adding people into the mix because they want to support you and they want to see baby, and it's just this, it's a chaos of beauty and
It's
chaos.
a puzzle that is like constantly shifting and changing. Like once you think you got the border set and you can live within there, it's like then the border shifts and you got to like start over.
Yeah.
And you're well equipped now, but you're constantly learning. And so I do think that, you know, a good majority of this podcast, we were talking a lot about me. I think the listeners would really want to hear more about like you coming home, and then like, what were the thoughts spurring into the collective? And because you were, I can imagine, co-parenting, not having like just having your mom at home, I don't want to say just having your mom at home because that's huge. You were probably just like reaching out for community and like trying to connect where you just weren't finding connection elsewhere.
Yeah. I mean, that was probably one of the biggest things. Obviously, that's why it started the collective. So not a lot of people know this. So you guys get the tea first. But because of my circumstance, the closest people to me knew what was going on. So knew what was going on, i.e. me and Charlie not being together. So we kept it, and even just an understanding of the dynamic of Charlie and I, we tried once Lincoln was born to still restore our marriage, and we worked really hard at it. Both of us did, and due to free will decisions, we're actually walking through the divorce now. But we were still working things out, and there's just a lot of chaos happening within our own marriage still. And so I kept my circle really, really small once I had Lincoln, because as soon as they stopped talking about Lincoln, the next thing that someone was going to ask me was about my marriage. And my marriage, I didn't know where it stood. And so that whole time of also to Lincoln have been in the NICU, I was one of those moms who was very closed off on how many people could actually hold and touch him and see him, mainly because we are still dealing with lung issues coming home. So Lincoln's lung collapsed when he was born. He was in the NICU. We got released. But if you laid Lincoln horizontal, he would instantly gasp for air for the first like 5 weeks of his life. So even certain things, like we'll do a whole episode on like our favorite products that we have as through motherhood. Yeah. But one of the products that was life-changing for me was the snoo. The snoo, I went from having every nap having to be on me, every night him having to be on me, to the snoo literally saving everything for me.
That's amazing.
Oh my gosh, it was literally the best thing ever. And if you don't want to buy it, just so you know, you can rent it. So we did a trial month. We rented it for 1 month to see if we liked it. and we loved it. So then I had this snoo up until he was 5 or 6 months. It was the best thing ever.
Side note, you could also buy it on Facebook Marketplace for half the price and then resell it for the same price. I have friends that have done that.
Literally facts, because you only use it the few months, so it stays in great condition. And you can even just go and buy like the swaddles are included when you rent it or buy it or whatever. So even if you just bought it used, just buy brand new swaddles and you're good to go. Like it's amazing. But just because of everything of Lincoln, my marriage, all of that, the people that I did see, I just didn't want to talk to anymore. Like not like anymore of like, I never want to see you, but like, I didn't want to talk about like, so how's it going with you and Charlie? And I just wanted to connect with moms on motherhood. And I realized that tight circle that I did have, only one of them is a mom, and she's my best friend. And I love her so much, but I needed more mom friends. I needed more. And I work for myself. I've built a personal brand on social media. A year and a half ago, or like 2 years, is when I finally started doing it full time. I always had like side gigs and side jobs doing it. And so I was like, whatever, I am going to go find out how to make mom friends. And I had met up with some other moms from TikTok prior. And I was like, people are cool. Like there's got to be other cool moms out there. And so that's when I made the TikTok video. And I said, if there's any moms that want to get a coffee and go for a walk, meet me here, because walks were my mental health savior after having Lincoln. With the dynamic of everything, I knew for my mental health, I needed to be outside and I needed to get some form of exercise. And when after you have a baby, you don't get cleared for 6 weeks or whatever. So I was like, well, I could just go on walks, and I would go on long walks every single day and multiple times a day. And I was getting lonely, and I was just wanting like other help of like, am I crazy for thinking this, or is Lincoln like that, or whatever, just all the different unknowns of motherhood of what you need. And so that one video changed everything. And that's what like brought the collective here today. I had 2 moms show up to the first walk. It was amazing. Did a recap video. The recap video went viral. And that's why we have the collective here today, is because I know my situation's very rare, but the feelings that I was feeling in my situation aren't. Yeah. And that's a lot of what mothers feel, is the unknown, the uneducated, the loneliness, the desperation, but also the longing just to feel normal. And that was probably the biggest thing. Like, I just wanted to know I wasn't crazy. And if you don't have a community of mothers, people who aren't moms yet, will literally make you feel, please join us. I will beg you, I will drive to your house, pick you up, maybe not. But I want you to be a part of this community because of how life-changing it truly, truly is. And
if we don't live close
having
to
community,
you, sorry, I was just going to say, if we don't live close to you,
we
have amazing ambassadors that have our same heart of really wanting you to find community, find your village. And so, we will start traveling and go visit. So we may be driving to your house if you need us to pick you up. Let's go to a walk. But please find a walk near you. We have our website. We have our walk finder. Find one near you. We're going to be launching another 100 cities, potentially before the new year. So a walk is probably showing up near you soon.
Yeah. And that's just my heartbeat of just the collective of wanting this to be that resource center once you bring baby home. And it's a resource center of firsthand experience, aka other moms. Yeah. And it's interesting. I went with my best friend to coffee this morning, and we were just talking about different things because she is a researcher. And if you know her, shout out Nicole.
I love her.
She researches everything, and not just like researches an article that talks about a study. She actually goes and finds the medical journal and reads the study, which praise God for her. But she was just she's in a scenario now with her. Duke is 14 months, I think. And everything that she had read on, that she had thought she had made a really firm decision on, she's now going back and questioning because she's like, well, that's just not my son. And it was a firsthand experience for her where she actually met up with another mom. The other mom shared her just insight on the perspective and what she did. This mom is a mom of 4. My friend is a mom of 1. And the mom of 4 just was able to speak life into her. And
Wow.
then this morning, talking with her about it, she was like, oh, my son's awake crying. We'll close this out. But the mom, she came back to me then this morning and was like, that was the most helpful thing I've ever heard, far greater than all these researches and different studies that happened. And it came from a mom who's actually walked in my shoes. So
that's incredible.
That being said, we're going to tie this up because my son is crying.
Yes. Well,
but
we will see you guys next
guys.
time.
Yes. We're going to start bringing in some other hosts. We're going to talk, probably our next episode, I'm just going to say it now, will be our favorite products of motherhood. We're going to talk about a list of everything we use daily, things that are worth the money, things that aren't worth the money, just products that were like, this is a must, go get it ASAP. But other than that, if you resonate with Ari or I, go to the momwalkcollective.com and feel free to email us. Go to the Mom Walk Co. Instagram, or you can reach out to our own personal ones. Mine's Jamie Easton. Ari's is Ari Party of 4. We love you guys. We hope
love you,
that
Mama.
This was amazing. Ari, any closing words?
We just love you so much. We want to help you guys find your community. And until you find your community, we are here. We will be your virtual village. So we love you.
We love you. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.